Dave Becker, founder of First Internet Bank. Thank you so much for being a part of how they did it, $1 Billion Insights from the Heart of America, and thank you for participating on the Nightingale Conan audio program, which is going to be coming out in 2012.
Great, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, we really appreciate it. And, you know, readers loved your interview. And we just wanted to ask you a couple follow-up questions because you have this incredible track record for launching companies and growing them. 4 Inc. 500 companies for fastest growth, and then ultimately exiting. I'm curious how you make that exit decision because, you know, in some, like RDS, you've had a successful sale. Wi-Fi, you've had a successful sale. First Internet Bank, you have not sold, and without giving away any secrets. How do you make that decision? When's the right time to exit?
I think the exit play comes down, and I'll use the two that I have exited as the example. In the RDS world, I had that company almost 25 years, and we had built a very good, solid company, had tremendous customers, lifelong relationships, literally with several of them. Selling that was kind of like selling your baby, because that was the first company tough, and it was a really, really tough decision. But what it came down to is I found a partner in the industry that did literally the same thing we did on a much grander scale. It was a public company at the time. And when it came to the bottom line, I was investing $4.5 million a year in R&D. They were investing $40 million plus. So just pure economics and scale. I knew at some point in time, both my employees and my customers would suffer because we couldn't keep up with the firepower that they had. So attractive offer, the clients stayed intact, the customers stayed intact. It worked very, very smoothly. It was more of a marriage than a takeover, and it worked very well for me. Wi-Fi, on the other standpoint, it had grown geometrically. We went from ground zero to 20+ million a year in sales in about 4 years. That was one where the industry was moving geometrically. Digital Insight was the 800-pound gorilla of the public company at that point in time. And I viewed it, there were other big players in it. CheckFree was coming online, ORCC, a lot of players. It was going to turn to commodity pricing, and it was pre-internet bubble. It was just the right time, just outrageous multiples in play. Sell it, and took that capital and created 4 or 5 other companies. So it was just kind of, it's much like the gut instinct got me into them, the gut instinct kind of got me out of them as well.
I've had a particular opinion, which is whenever there are economic downturns, like, you know, recessions, that you tend to see new company formation going up. But I saw something distressing recently that in the past couple of years that did not hold true, and that in fact the number of new company formations did not increase. And I wonder if there is despair, distress out there about the process of starting a company. You've described your process of launching your company. You dramatically quit during a board meeting to start your first company, and you've said you have to jump off a cliff. Can you give some insight or inspiration to aspiring entrepreneurs, the why, the how of that jump?
Yeah, I think the play, when you look back at it, even when I started my first company back in 1981, it was kind of wild economic times at that point. If you remember, prime rate was approaching 21%. Interest rates were all-time highs. The economy was somewhat in shambles, different than today. But I've always believed, and historically I think it's been proven, that in the times of the greatest economic distress is when the greatest economic wealth is created. And when you can see how to do things differently, you have a competitive advantage when times are tough, because you don't have the new competitors coming online with you. If you really believe in the idea and the focus and the vision of what your company is, or your product and your service, it's the best of all times to start a company, because as pointed out in your comments, there's not the competitive forces. There's a lot of new ideas going on. Companies that might be competitors are hunkered down. They're worried about quarterly earnings, etc. They're cutting back people. They're cutting back R&D development. You can actually leapfrog total industries. And I'll use First Internet Bank as an example. When I was laid up in the motorcycle accident, I bought Landmark Savings Bank in 2006, 2007, that's when the mortgage market was just falling apart at the seams. And a local reporter called me and said, Dave, I thought you were a fairly smart businessman. Why in the world are you getting into mortgage loans? And I made the statement, Peter, at some point in time, you're going to want to buy a house, right? Well, my wife and I are looking at houses right now. And I said, well, Peter, there's fabulous people all over the country that still are going to need to get mortgages. And I said, the market is imploding. And if I can come out with a solid product, deliver it by the web, I said, I can be that end provider. And we're up year over year. This year, we're up 50%. On a year-to-date basis of the mortgages we originated last year. It's just absolutely going through the roof, and it's turned out to be a tremendous product. I think we're the third largest mortgage originator in the state of Indiana at the current time, and just going through the ceiling. So it's, when times are tough, it really is the greatest opportunity.
What has you most excited right now about what you're working on?
I think I'm excited on all fronts. It's kind of staggering for me that everybody's worried about the double dip and the recession and the pieces going on. I can truthfully say all four of my companies today are having banner years. We are just absolutely going nuts. And I think part of the issue is we continue to invest, we continue to change and modify and grow the companies as our peers have kind of set by the wayside or being forced in some cases just to temper back their activities. It's just created great opportunities for us. And being all of them have some modem of software and technology to them. And I think the consumer, the educational community, the banking community is finally understanding that brick and mortar isn't necessarily the best way to go. That's a very fixed overhead cost that if you can do it with technology, take a look at technology. And our software as a service in RICS and the POS, we put on 108 new customers last year. We're over 200 year to date and well on our way hopefully to 300 before year end. So it's just hitting on all 8 cylinders right now. We're having a great time.
Congratulations, Dave, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.